Hi, good afternoon. I would like to say it's been a pleasure to be at Marquette, but it has been an absolute pain. I haven't been near snow in 37 years. My nose hasn't cracked because of the heat. And the poor hotel, maybe you want to take up a collection, because the poor hotel, I have my room up to 84 degrees. So they're going to lose out on my room. But it's a pleasure to be with you, and I've enjoyed the week tremendously. I head out tomorrow at 7 o'clock, 12 o'clock plane, then land in Miami, and by 9:30 at night I should be back in Jamaica. Jamaica is the size of Long Island, 140 miles long and 40 miles wide. We're about 2.7 million people, and we're a parliamentary government. Some of the statistics will turn you a bit upside down. 92% of the children born are born out of wedlock. Now, it doesn't mean it's an immoral society or anything like that. It has a lot to do with the culture. 70% of the children that graduate from secondary school don't have the three prerequisite subjects that they need to get a simple job as a clerk, a policeman, a soldier. That's 70%. 30% can get something if the job is there, but the other 70%, they go and sit on the side and smoke marijuana and, go make babies and things like that. So it's pretty rough. 40% of the children that graduate from primary school can neither read nor write. So with us having to give 70 cents of every dollar we earn back to pay the foreign debt that our leaders have incurred, that means we only have 30 cents for health, education, security, and all those needs that the place would have. So we're in pretty tough shape. We're trying to get a loan from the IMF. That should come May, June. If we don't get that, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, if we don't get that, it could be pretty rough for the country. It'll be rough whether we get it or not. If we get it, we got to lay a lot of civil servants off, pension reform, no increases for teachers, nurses, police, soldiers, etc. So we're caught in between whether we get it or we don't. I spent my first 7 years out in an area which was an up-and-coming low to middle income housing district. And besides that, I had a lot of poor people in wooden and tin shacks, no running water, no electricity, etc. Then I was shifted from there to the inner city. And then I was there at St. Patrick's Church for 14 years, and that's where we named the foundation. It became very clear to my secretary and myself that there was just no way we're going to be able to answer all the concerns that came to us every day. I couldn't leave my office in my little rectory until about 10:30 in the morning, because the people lined up after the 7 o'clock Mass, just lined up, and they were begging for taxi fare, they were begging for school fare, they were begging shoe, they were begging food to eat, etc. And Carol and I just decided that there's no way this can continue. We have to somehow empower these people. And I called together a bunch of the young guys, and I put the daily newspaper in front of them, and they couldn't read. They're 18, 19, 20, 22, and they couldn't read. So I said, okay, what we got to do is set up something that will affect the most people. And that's how St. Patrick's Foundation came about. And the idea was to motivate them and excite them to be all they could be. I would tell many of them, some of you will become a doctor or a lawyer. Some of you will become a great carpenter. Some of you will become a great electrician. What's important is that you become what you are, that you reach your own heights. And that's sort of what's happened. And so today, St. Patrick's Foundation has 5 centers. 4 are educational and skills training, and 1 is a home for the abandoned elderly, those who have leprosy, and now I'm taking on poor AIDS people. So altogether, it's about 1,000 students a day that come to the 4 different centers. We have probably the finest catering, laboratory, or kitchen in the Caribbean. We teach catering to students over and over and over and over, 35 to a class, and they go for 6 months. We teach IT. Every student at St. Patrick's Foundation has to learn the computer. I can't turn a computer on, and I can't turn one off. Thank God for my secretary. But the students have to learn it. We do cosmetology. In Jamaica, it's so very important, no matter how poor they are, to have their hair done and their nails done and all of that. We teach electrical installation. We teach woodwork. We teach garment construction. And in all of these centers, we have a place for pregnant teenage girls, non-residential. St. Patrick's Foundation is non-residential. I always felt that to take them out of their one-room shack or the toughness of the ghetto and put them in a false type of living situation, and then they'd have to return to that, I thought was unfair. Learn where you are. Learn within the situations that you have to struggle with. So I was 14 years at St. Patrick's, and that's where we started the foundation. The challenge with the foundation, because all the kids that are coming are not only poor, but they come from single parent, single grandmother, single situation like that. They're generally hungry. One of our finest catering students has to sleep somewhere different every day. Jamaica's a very, very homophobic country. And when I was told this by the center manager, I called him and I said, Jermaine, what's the problem? Why did your family throw you out? And it was because you're gay. He said, no, I'm not gay. He said, my mother, my father, and I had a difference, and so they just told me I have to live outside. Now, my brother sometimes sneaks me inside at night, and I shower and change and get out before they all wake up. So some of them have to endure under incredible pressing situations. Now, I don't want to romanticize work with the poor, okay? It's very difficult. You're not an easy set of people to deal with. But once you can empower them and enable them to learn a skill, it doesn't mean that they become a chef in a great hotel. It means that they can now set up a little cook shop out of their one-room shack, and they can feed the community and make some money and send their kids to school. It doesn't mean that he'll join a big electrical company. It means he gets a bicycle, we get him the tools, and he goes off and goes throughout the community as an electrician and makes his money that way. The cosmetology, it's not only the girls, it's the guys too. They come and they can do something in their backyard, in their house. So it's really enabling them and empowering them to become self-reliant. And slowly but surely, they move out of poverty. May not move out to upper middle class, but slowly but surely they have a skill now. I was in the garbage dump that you saw there, Riverton City, and those wooden and tin shacks. I was in there one day with my two nephews who were painting houses of some old poor people. And this big, tall, very dark Jamaican fella came up to me. And he said to me, "Chief, I'm not asking anything for myself, but I have a brother who has a problem. Can you help him?" So long story short, I went to see the brother. The brother had keloids all over his body because Kevron, his older brother that was asking me to help him, slept in the one bed during the day because he collected tires on the dump. And that's how he supported his sister and everyone in the family. Kevron's mother died of AIDS, and his father had been shot. So now he was the one to take care of his sister, his brother, and his sister's kids. So, long story short, I got a doctor to come down every Easter and took off a lot of the keloids. He still has some left, but. So Kevron came up to see me one day at that third parish I was in, the really nice one with the super rich. And he came, and at the same time, there was a modeling agency that was working out in our hall. And the guy came over to give me the check for the rental for using the hall. And he looked at Kevron, and he said, "My God, where did that African prince come from?" And he said to Kevron, "Kevron, take your shirt off." And Kevron turned to me and said, "Chief." I said, "No, it's cool, man. It's cool. You can take your shirt off." He was ready to beat him out. Kevron went on to do modeling gigs in Miami, New York, London, married a most beautiful English girl, a white woman. He's very dark. They have two beautiful brown sons. He's in the British Army, done some gigs in Afghanistan, and it's just incredible. And I always tell that story because Kevron was moving beyond the confines of his own concern. He wasn't worried about himself. He wasn't asking me for more zinc for his roof. He wasn't asking me to help him with this or that. He was asking for someone else, his brother, who needed help. And look how God blessed him. And I think that's a lesson that we can always learn. When you move beyond the confines of your own life to service, you're going to be blessed. It's the miracle. It's the miracle of reaching out to someone. So, and I have a lot of stories like that of our kids that have done well. I was in a breakfast dining room in a hotel, couples on the North Coast having breakfast with two of the owners, Oriente and Paul Issa. And the head of the breakfast dining room came over and said, "Mr. Issa, this is our specials. Mrs. Issa, what would you like?" And da-da-da-da. And then he turned to me and said, "Come on, hurry up now. That's the problem with you white people. You come down here and you demand of us and take advantage of us." Well, Mr. Issa, of course, was ready to stand up and fire him. But the kid said, "Father Richard, you don't recognize me. I'm Christopher, and I was in your first catering course, and now I'm head of the breakfast dining room." So we have kids everywhere. St. Patrick's Foundation, almost 25 years old. So we have kids everywhere, standing on their own 2 feet, becoming reliant, self-reliant, and helping others. We have kids that the guy who teaches electrical installation is a former student. A girl who teaches IT at my largest center is a former student. So that happens over and over, giving back like that. And it's worked out pretty well. The situation when I lived at St. Patrick's for 14 years, and it was pretty tough and rough at times. The chief of police called me and said, I'm sending down 2 deputies. And I said to him, Trevor, why? Well, what's going on? I can't talk on the phone. I'm sending down 2 deputies. So they sent them down, sat in front of me. I told my secretary to hold all the calls. And they told me that a contract had been taken out on my life from drug dealers, Jamaican drug dealers in New York, because I was having a lot of these say no to drug deals and all this other stuff, say no to drugs and marches and bans and all this stuff. And I said to the 2 deputies in front of me, listen, men, if I don't give the guy a bag of rice, he wants to slit my throat. I'm threatened every day. So, you know, I'm not worried really. Just then my secretary buzzed through and said, you got to take this call. It's Dexter. Dexter is a young guy that I had recommended for the police force. He lived in the neighborhood, but we had to move him to the country because the police won't take anyone from the ghetto because they fear they know the Dons too well and all this. So Dexter came out and said the same thing as the 2 deputies said, that there was a contract taken out on my life. The name of the guy that's been given the contract is Dave Ninja out of New York, and etc. So I said to them, okay, I'm convinced now. I'll take the guards. I'll take the cops. So there were 2 sharpshooters on my roof and 1 that sat outside my bedroom door. And I had to leave the door open. And one night I went in to the bathroom off my bedroom and I closed the door. And he came, the cop, and kicked open the door. And he said to me, I want to smell your shit. There's no door between you and me. I really had to go to the bathroom then, trust me. It was, the numerous times and experiences like that. But I'm 67 now, and I'm the chief fundraiser for the foundation. I support it through my mailing lists in the States and grants and embassy grants and things like that. So it's, I didn't want to, as you saw in the clip there, I didn't want to go to Jamaica. I never worked with black people. I never worked with minorities. I wasn't supposed to be a missionary. I didn't want anything like that. But God had other plans. And so I've been there, and now I'm out of administration in the diocese. I did everything. I was editor of a newspaper, and I never took a communications course in my life. I was the ecumenical officer, and I didn't know anything about ecumenism. But I did it, and it all worked out well. So I've been blessed. I'm the one that's blessed. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. So I don't know if you have any questions or thoughts or reactions. I just think that, as I said on there, that dependency is another form of slavery. I don't want anyone dependent on me. I want people just to be able, and I don't care if they become Catholic or not. I'm not out to make the world Catholic. The vast majority, probably 99.9% of our kids are not Catholic. And I like to tell people all the time, Jesus may be God, and he may not be. It doesn't make any difference to me. I love him, and I follow him because of what he taught. What he taught. That what's important is what you do for others. That they'll know you're my disciple by the love you have for one another. That's the bottom line, you know. Everything else is extra. All these rules and regulations the church has and all these, that's all extra. Don't matter. What's important is the commandment to get at the heart of it, which is to love your neighbor. And I've been blessed. I've been given the opportunity to love my neighbor in a big way. So, you know, I'll be there the rest of my life. They're going to burn me up when I'm dead. Half the ashes go to New York next to my mother, and half go in Jamaica. But so that's basically it. And I was the first recipient of the Opus Prize. Mr. Rauwenhorst, Daddy Rauwenhorst, and I'll end with this if you have a question or two. Daddy Rauwenhorst was really not much of an educated man, but he was a devoted Catholic. He built up this thing called Opus, this company, and he divided the country up among his sons. And they continued this great construction company. And they did extremely, extremely well. But, sorry, when I first went to Jamaica, Neil Rauwenhorst, Daddy's son, was like, I ran a campus ministry center, and he was one of the residents. And so he asked me to, he graduated and asked me to have dinner with his family. So I was very happy to go have dinner with his family. They sent a stretch limo to pick me up, and we went to Blackie's in Steakhouse in Washington, D.C., and had dinner. And then I took off for Jamaica, and Daddy was sending $5,000 every Christmas. 3-4 Christmas. This is 76. A lot of money. And then in the 80s, it started to be 10,000, then it went to 15,000, then it was 50,000 every single Christmas for my ministry down there. And Daddy's getting old now, and he says he's coming down with the children. They'll come down on their own plane and land in Kingston, and he wants the children to see St. Patrick's Foundation. Well, I thought he was just trying to pass on the baton to his kids to say, hey, take care of this guy and his work, because we've been doing it for so long. We ended up in Spanish Town, the old capital, at Spanish Town's fanciest restaurant. A few of my board members came. My board is made up of Jamaican businessmen and women. And it was plastic tablecloth, and, you know, whoever ate there last, some of the ketchup was still there and that type of thing. But we had our lunch. And then the oldest son, Joe, who's here, stood up and said, we're starting a new thing, the Opus Prize. And we want to give $1 million to someone who's training people to become entrepreneurs. And we thought of Dick Albert. And then we said, no, he's too close to the family. But then we said, he's doing everything the prize says, you know, the criteria for the prize. So we came up with Dick Albert again. And then the third time, and I was just floored. I was shocked. $1 million US? I couldn't believe it. And I have to admit, I was tempted for about 5 minutes to buy a nice condo on the North Coast, retire from the priesthood, and just live life. But morality got the better of me, and I turned it over to the foundation. And so that's how the Opus Prize came about in my life. The Rauwenhorsts are an incredible family. There have been 9 others who have received this $1 million, and each year someone will get $1 million. And so they're really giving back. Jerry, the father, is one of the co-founders with Tom Monahan, the Domino's pizza guy, for the Papal Foundation. And to become a member of that, you got to give $1 million US, and then so much each year. And that's money that they keep in the States here, but the Pope directs them where to send it to build up places and do things and all.